So there I was walking across this college campus by myself, and I could only walk about 10 steps at a time before I had to stop and catch my breath. My vision had gotten so blurry that I could barely see where I was walking, and there were several moments where I wasn't sure I would even make it back to the hotel. I am never going to tell you ayahuasca is evil, don't take ayahuasca. It has helped so many people who probably didn't have many options left. But for the purpose of harm reduction, I do need to share what can go wrong even when you think you're being really careful. So ayahuasca is a psychedelic tea that originates in the Amazon. It contains two key chemicals, DMT and an MAOI. The MAOI effectively slows down your body's metabolism of DMT so that you can experience its psychedelic effects. Ayahuasca really isn't a recreational drug. It's one of the most powerful psychedelics on Earth. It's usually used in a closely monitored therapeutic setting or as part of a ceremony. In October 2021, I was in State College, Pennsylvania, home of Penn State University. I had never been there before. I didn't go to school there. I was just kind of there to check it out. But I had a plan. I had taken ayahuasca several months prior, and it was a really good experience. I wrote down my exact recipe for brewing it, and I kind of assumed I could just take that recipe, make it exactly the same way again, and get the same result. Sadly not. My journey starts at 3 p.m. where I gulp down this purple, bitter, sawdust flavored juice, feeling pretty confident in my life choices at this point. So I decide to go out for a bike ride. After about an hour, I can feel some psychedelic effects growing. I bike over to this arboretum and make my way to this patch of trees where I sit down and try to listen to music, just as I had on the first trip. This is where things start to get very dark. I notice a little tightness in my chest and realize that my heart is rapidly slowing down or has slowed down. I didn't realize at the time that ayahuasca severely slows your heart rate. I eventually started to realize that this dose was much, much stronger than my previous.
Like a goddamn stone. You took too much, man. You took too much, too much.
It was getting harder and harder to breathe, and my heart felt like it was slowing down almost to a halt. I realized at this point that I had made a huge mistake, like something had gone wrong here. So the sun is now starting to go down and it's getting really cold. So I'm like, okay, I'll be fine. I just need to get back to the hotel so I can lay down. I start walking my bike across the campus towards the hotel, but I quickly realize that I can only walk about 10 steps at a time before I have to stop and rest. This is not good. As I am walking, my vision starts getting blurry, like really blurry. I had this watch with me, but I could not read what time it was. It basically looked like this. I was pretty much terrified at this point. And the worst part was that I didn't have anyone there who could reassure me or make me feel safe. There are actually a bunch of students walking around. I remember my consciousness kind of like dipping down and then coming back up. It felt like I had almost just passed out. I remember thinking like, if I collapse on the ground right now, at least there are a bunch of people here who will call me an ambulance. I eventually decide that, you know what, I'm gonna either make it through this or I won't, but I have to keep going. There's nothing else I can do. This was the closest I've ever come to facing my own death. After walking for what felt like hours, I finally made it back to the hotel, bust through the door, jump on the bed, and just had a chill rest of the night, and I was able to go back in the morning. One thing that I learned is that ayahuasca will test your perseverance in a powerful way. By introducing me to a whole new level of pain, it left me with this sense that life can get really hard, but it never gets quite as hard as thinking you're about to die on ayahuasca. It also left me with a strong sense of empathy. As I was watching these students walking around, it kind of made me realize how everyone is going through their own struggle, and life is really one big struggle from beginning to end in some ways. So it's really important to be kind to people you meet. Hey, what's up? Am I still recording? I'm sorry, that was like the perfect timing. Now let me tell you a little bit about the after effects. They were really unpleasant and scary. There was this weird electric energy in my body that prevented me from sleeping or getting much sleep for the next several days. I was super paranoid and I thought I had damaged my brain permanently. Those effects thankfully faded after about a week, but for several months after, I felt an increased level of fear and anxiety and even depersonalization. I would get afraid of things that I wouldn't normally be afraid of. To put it lightly, it was pretty unsettling. I wasn't sure if I would ever return to normal. After a solid 8 months, I felt like my fear response was mostly back to normal. But even to this day, a year and 5 months later, I feel like my stress tolerance is somehow lower than it once was. Like, it feels easier to get overstressed, especially when sleep deprived. And when that happens, I get really uneasy and put everything down and just like decompress. I'm gonna end it there. If you do decide to do ayahuasca, please do it with proper guidance and supervision. It really is an extremely powerful tool if used properly and should be treated with respect and treated as like something sacred. If you have tried it, please leave a comment. I'm really interested in how it has affected other people. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next time. Peace.